Hello there, come back to the Electron Innovation Hub. So it's going to be the third session on architectural analysis on the impact on Kubernetes discontinuing Docker runtime. So let me share the screen. Yeah, so we have been explaining the architectural and changes and the analysis on what about Kubernetes and container runtime. So, and we got to know the deprecating approach, the new approach, and what is the current approach as of latest. Fine. So let's continue. Docker runtime support is removed in a future release. So this is the latest. What they are telling. Update removal of Docker sim is scheduled for Kubernetes 1.2.4. 1.2.4. The previous explanation I was telling 1.2.2. That is again as per their guidelines. And now you can see if you go here, the FAQ. Let me show you the click reference. You can see a Docker sim FAQ. Just read this as well. So they are telling. You can see meaning earlier the release without Docker sim would be 1.2.3, 1.2.3 and late in 220 and update removal of Docker sim schedule V124. That's what version 124. And again, if you are talking about the industry usage about this container D and other container runtimes other than Docker, we have heavy industry usages. For example, I think even in this one, they are explaining this FAQ itself, they are explaining now Azure, the managed cluster providers, managed Kubernetes cluster provider, Amazon, Azure, and they are all using container D. So you can take a look at it. Even in the practical, I told you how to look at the node configuration and to check what is the runtime in use. And likewise, there are a lot of industry usage. I think if you go to these documents as well, not only this, we have, I think there's a slide here. Let's go to it. I think there was a point that I was telling here. Yeah, industry use cases. So let me come to that. So that is there. And so let's see now the impact. What is the impact? The removal impact from this, what is going to get impacted? And the Docker sim component of K8 cluster facilitate Docker as K8's runtime. Understood. We know that to facilitate Docker as a runtime only, Docker sim was brought in the mid of CRI. Kubernetes built-in Docker sim component is deprecated from 1.2.0. That is the announcement. If you are using Docker for building your application containers, you can still run these containers on any container runtime. That's fine because this is not a barrier for composing images on Docker. If you have images composed from Docker, those are executable. That's fine. This use of Docker does not count as dependency on Docker as a container runtime. That's true. Exactly true. Because that's what I say. Any composed images from Docker, you can bring up here and spin up. That's no problem. When alternative container runtime is used, executing Docker commands, that's 100% true, may either not work or yield unexpected output. Now, we don't have Docker ecosystem in Kubernetes. Once Docker is removed, so there is no Docker environment to facilitate those commands. So monitoring, Docker PS commands, so those things may not work. May not, no, it will not work, right? That's what. This is how you can find whether you have dependency on Docker, okay? You cannot get container information using Docker PS, Docker inspect commands, so those things are not going to work. Those things are utilities came with Docker ecosystems. Now Docker taken away means we don't have those utilities. We had to use the container D or whatever container runtime features on behalf of to get those information. Fine. So, and since it is not possible to list the containers, you cannot stop containers, get logs executing something inside containers using Docker execute. True, exactly correct. And they're telling you have to use Kubernetes API to stop container. That's fine. You can use the kubectl and Kubernetes API. You can issue the commands against kube API. We will do this practical. So no worries. Channel is going to do more hands on this change. We'll be doing the hands-on. We have done only the installation. We did only the cluster level change. We didn't do the impact analysis in practical terms. We didn't do. This is the theoretical analysis of the impact. So let's do the practical analysis later. And still you can pull the images and build using Docker build. That is facilitated. That is a common command. So that is there. That is actually so to reduce this will reduce the impact, of course. Okay, so we have the industry usage is there. You can see the industry use cases. So let's take a look at it about the different container runtimes other than Docker. What are the industry use cases and Docker Sim FAQ. I think in here Docker Sim CRI removal. So this is about FAQ. In the FAQ we have these. That's what earlier also I visited here. Why can I still Docker Sim after Docker? You can see. Let's check. Yeah. Other example, container D, people keep preference OCI that which container implementation should I use, and if you go down, what now? I think it's here. You can have CNCF landscape, container D, container initiative, run C. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Yeah, container adapters. That is what. So these are the industry usage of container D adapters. You can see that. Container D is being currently used by IBM Cloud Kubernetes, IBM Private, Google Cloud, AWS Cloud, even Azure. They are using this one. So a lot of things. Alibaba, you can see. I mean, all the cloud giants are using this one. Container D, Azure also. And you can see that Amazon, Kata containers, and Kata containers, right? So I think yeah, that's what other projects. So we have many. So industry users use cases are there. Even if you Google, you will get many of those. Even if you go to the Container D website, you will see many. You will see many. And that's even CRIO also there. And if you want to visit, I think you can take a look at it from. Okay, let's do this. I think I had that. If you Container D. This is this and container runtimes here. So no, this won't take us there. Container D, I think this one, yeah. So this is container D latest version. This is under download. So they have 1.55. Yeah, that's okay. That is container D downloads. But if you go here, you can see they are also telling the industry usage, the customers were given. Anyway, this one is they are, I think, let's take a look at it. So it may be too complex for you all to understand it, but if we have senior resources here, the experienced resources, of course, this change is not basic. This is mid-senior and higher. So therefore, if you take a look at it, you can see at the bottom, we have all these ground line facilitating tools, the runc and Kata and GYS. So these all are container runtime facilitating at the bottom. And after that, only we have the overlay, BRTS, the networking, and the DIS, and those things are coming in. So just you can at the top only our client tools, Kubernetes, and those things are which are assigning the workloads to these down layers. So anyway, let's try to understand this one. I'll explain this thing later in more detail. And these are platforms like you can see Docker platform, IBM, Alibaba, and Cloud Ranch, AWS, which is manage clouds and okay, right. So that's all. And they have their own play of implementations on Kubernetes and container D runtime. They are using that. So this is what they are telling container D is in place on these things. That's what industry usage. That is, you can take it from there as well. Yeah, so that is the impact. And finally, our architectural change, component workflow. I think we know this one. You may remember this architecture we explained in a previous session. But what is the change? What is the change? That is what we need to understand. For our workflow in the architectural explanation, we know kubectl will initially initiate the workload, and kube API will be taking it over. The authorized workload which will be pushed into the cluster, and after that the scheduler will be scheduling into the worker nodes. The kubelet will take over that call, it will acknowledge, and after that you can see the change now. The runtime, it was Docker earlier, but it's no longer Docker, now it is containerd. So this is the change. Now it is containerd. So containerd is the runtime. So kubelet has to work with containerd to initiate the pod, and within the pod we are going to have containerd runtime. Containerd runtime. So it may be Docker images, that's true, but here I have highlighted containerd because it's coming from containerd. So you can put Docker images here, that's fine, that's okay. The rest of the things are not being changed, others are okay. And here also I have replaced instead of saying Docker, it is all about containerd, because this is this architecture is drawn facilitating containerd as the container runtime. You can draw the similar using CRIO and all. Okay, others are explained in the previous architectural explanation. Okay, fine. I think we are done. So that is the last slide. Okay. So if you like this, you can put a subscribe. So I will meet you soon with the next session. So this is going to be the last session on the architectural analysis on deprecating Docker as the container runtime. All right. So I will meet you with another session soon. Okay. Have a great time. Bye. Bye.